Hey guys, welcome to Quinian's Budget Crafts. So if you're looking at all this here going, what is that? This is Blender 2.8. The Tabletop Dungeoneers logo here. The Tabletop Dungeoneers server is doing like not a server-wide, but a multi-crafter-wide collaboration project. I'm going to be modeling this thing. Save or Die, who was nice enough to provide me with some extra images so I can see what this looks like 3D, is going to do the printing, and several others will do the painting, and they're all doing videos, and I'll put links to them and all that stuff towards the end of this video once I know who everyone is. So you might notice down here I've got this thing showing what I'm clicking on and stuff. That is to help you see what I'm doing, because I may forget to explain things here and there. So the first thing you're going to need when you're modeling something is you need a shape that's very close to what you're going to be doing. This is basically a ball with tentacles on it, so just go ahead and add a UV sphere. Now this sphere is way too small for me because you try to move around it, and it's just the way Blender works. It's hard to move around and zoom. You get stuck and things slow down. It's bad. Also, it has way too many segments. So we're going to change the segments to 16. We're going to change the rings to 10. You want those to stay even. And we're going to make the radius 5. And that should make it, there we go, big enough to move around, not too big, and all of the stuff is nice and even so that it's, cleanly cut in half. These things are more or less squares, so that's what I want to start with. Alright, so if you're going to be printing stuff out, you do have to worry about the thickness of your walls and stuff. And right now, this is just a single shell, and it would print, it would probably fill the whole thing with the infill, but that's not really what we want. So what we're going to do is give this thing some thickness. Do that by selecting it, hit Tab to go to Edit, 3 to go to Faces if you're not already there. I pretty much always am, so face mode up here. So then we're going to right-click and extrude along face normals. Now the correct way to do this is to go outwards with it, and then when you click, you hit this little box here that says Flip Normals. What that is you go up here in the top right corner and hit this little arrow by the double circles. Scroll to the bottom, and there's normals. Click whichever one you prefer. I like the one where the line comes right out of the middle of the face, and adjust your size. And this is which direction the software thinks is the outside of your model. So right now, because I've done it correctly, the outside is in fact the outside, and if you go inside the middle here, the middle is the outside of this wall, so this is a hollow on the inside, and this section in between the two would be filled with infill. That is the correct way to do it, but you can't always go the direction you want to, and sometimes you gotta go the wrong way. So what happens if you go the wrong way? I'll show you. So same thing, extrude along normals, and we're gonna go in with it this time. So right now the normals are all messed up, right? So how do you fix that? Well, the inside one's already selected, so we'll just go ahead and hit Alt-N and hit Flip. That points them to the inside. Click on one of the outside faces, hit L to hit L to grab all of them, and then same thing, Alt-N and Flip, and there we go. Now your outside ones are outside, and your inside ones are inside like you're supposed to be. There we go. Now you can see. So that's how you're supposed to have it, and that's how you fix it if you got it backwards. Normals aren't really covered enough in most Blender tutorials, and it can totally wreck your model, whether you're doing artwork or the graphics for games or 3D printing stuff. You need the things facing the direction they're supposed to face. So that's how you do that. You don't have to leave those on. For the most part, you're not going to mess up your normals. It's just when you're extruding things like that, you can mess them up. So now we need to cut a hole in the middle here for that eyeball there. Now, there's a thing in Blender built in called Bool Tool. I don't like it. A lot of people do. They love it. They're great with it. They do some fantastic, really fast work with it. Personally, I don't like it. I prefer to do things the hard way. So, when you're adding other meshes to your thing, to get another one up here, you need to be out of your current model. If you're in this model and you were to add, say, a cube, right? There is no cube in this list because the cube is part of this sphere now. It's in there. If you were to get back out of it, it's part of the sphere. That's not what we want. So, get out of that. So what you need to do to make sure that you are adding a new thing to your list of stuff in the collection is get out of the model and unclick it. Now we're going to add a cylinder. On the thing here, we're going to change the vertices to 50. That'll make it a lot smoother. And then we're going to change the rotation on the X to 90. Now we're doing it in this window and not in this window. just out of pure convenience. I mean, you can do it over here. It doesn't matter. I'm just used to doing all my presets over here. So there's our cylinder chilling out inside the thing. We're going to need to scale that thing up a bit. Hit grab, hit Y, move it out this way, and then see if it matches the eyeball there. The jaw portion of this robot thing, his jaw sticks out lower than the sphere, so the eyeball is dead center. That looks about right on the scale and everything. So we'll go back to wireframe mode, make sure that our cylinder does go all the way through both layers and doesn't hit something it's not supposed to. Then we will click on the sphere, click on the wrench, click add modifier. We want a boolean, is on difference by default, which is what you want. On object you want the cylinder, you apply it, and then you can go delete your cylinder, and you have a nice perfectly cut clean hole. It made a nice smooth circle with the autofill and all that good stuff. Real easy. And then the next thing would be these boxes. So in the drawings he did, I'm backwards. In the drawings he did, the boxes in the original logo, there are 8 of these boxes that these tentacles are coming out of. And then this reference for the back of it, there are 6. I'm going to assume that 8 is what he really wanted. This was just a sketch for my benefit. So I'll go off of this one here in the middle, which is the official one, I guess you could call it. So these are 8 of these sort of triangular shaped boxes. You could just model these boxes on their own and stick them right on, and for the most part it does actually work, and there's ways to do things that I'll show later for the tentacle portions. But it's a lot better if every part of the model is part of the model. There's no separate pieces hanging out, no overlapping faces or anything like that. Now on most beholders, the tentacles actually start a little bit further forward than this is going to confuse me. I turn this thing around. Anyway, they start further forward than the back. They're like, if you were to look at the hemispheres, it starts on one side. It's not directly in the middle. Let me just rotate this thing around real quick. That's the wrong axis. There we go. So now the hole's in the front. So yeah, the most beholders, the tentacles start, on this half. They don't start in the back, and they don't start in the middle. So that's what I'm going to do here. That might make him look a little bit like a flower, though, or like he's got a wreath around his face or something, which will look strange. So if you're going to do something that might be a bad idea, what you're going to do is go up to File and save it and everything. I already have. You can see right there. So I'm just going to use Control S to do a quick save. Just like the old school video games, when you're about to do something dumb, do a quick save, because you can just go back to that point if you screwed it up completely. Okay, remember how I mentioned hitting Control S to quick save in case you screw it all up? Yeah, I totally screwed it all up. So we're going to do something else. We want this section, or this one here, we want this one to come out to make this triangular box here. But we don't want this entire section, because if you were to grab that, it's going to pull half the thing off. That's not what you want. So highlight all of the vertices around the area you want to erase, right click and subdivide, and now you have a perfect little box. I mean, you could use the knife tool, but you're not going to get a perfect box with that. So now we have a new box right here. And we don't want to grab just that and pull it out, because it's going to still pull half the thing, and that's not what you want at all either. So what we'll do is go to face mode and extrude faces along normals and pull it right on out. I'm not sure how far out we want it, not very. Looks like about that probably. And if you click too soon and it's too long, too short, whatever, just before you click away from it, hit G to grab and then hit X for that axis, and you can still do it. So if we look at the drawing here, we're getting like crazy technical and stuff, the distance this stands out from the side is almost the same distance as between the edge of the sphere and where the hole starts. So come out here, grab that along the X, bring it out, and that's about right. Looks kind of stupid right now because the shape is inverted, but that's an easy fix. Just making sure that that looks right. So before we change the shape of this, I mean, what we could do is hit S to scale that in, and that bring it down, and now it's basically the right shape. But before we do that, we need to get all of them all the way around. That way we have a better idea of how much room we have to work with. Because like what I'd like to do is make this, there we go, make this one wider, because it looks like it needs to be bigger to me. but it can only get so big before it starts causing problems with the ones next to it. So let's go ahead and add all those in first. Okay, so yeah, it's kind of a mess. You probably saw I went through and changed around the things how I was doing stuff, and yeah. Alright, so pulling these ones out first made this weird little bump right here. We can fix that simple enough. But that way I could find the center point of each thing. It's not even, it doesn't really distribute properly. So, it's an easy fix. First, let's sort this out. Sometimes it's best to just grab one vertice and move it, instead of trying to use tools to make things exactly perfect and whatnot. So, not really a problem. Just grab it, scoot it in. Might need to change your point of view to make sure you didn't get it crooked. Like this one's a little crooked. There we go. All right, we'll sort out these the shape of this later. I mean, it's like a pyramid, and that's not what we want. And this one comes in. We'll sort that out. First thing we gotta do is make these the top one and the bottom one bigger, because they're considerably smaller than everything else. So go ahead and grab the verts around the bottom, vertices, I guess. Grab the ones around the bottom, all of them. It's a lot, and then hit S to scale, and it will scale it out across the thing, at least to a point, and it starts to get dumb. It's doing that because it's anchoring off of the vertices that it's connected to. So, an easy way to fix that would be to grab the ones you don't want, because they're in the way, and dissolve them. Don't delete them, that'll make holes in your model, just dissolve them. So now it will anchor to this circle here on the outside. If you wanted to, you could actually merge these ones to the outside, but I don't want to do that because it's a circle, and the thing here is I don't know what you call it. It's like a pyramid, but with no top. Somebody help me with shape names. So grab them all, scale them. Now we will scale out along the ones there on the bottom without getting all crazy. If you're having issues, like you can see that on the sides, how it's glitching, that's because it doesn't know what to do with the faces. That can be solved by connecting these paths. So try to connect them as evenly as possible. That's the middle one, that's the middle one. I have bound the button to middle mouse. It's not showing up on the thing anymore. I bound the button to middle mouse, or thumb button on the mouse. Hang on one sec, let me fix that. There we go. Alright, so yeah, I've bound the merge things, or to connect them, with the mouse button 4. What that is, if you were to have to right click and do it that way, is it is right click, connect vertice pairs. That's what I'm doing. I just made it a mouse button because it's simpler, much faster. I tend to do that more often than I probably should. So just go ahead and create some paths there. Now everything is all nice and even, so when you go to scale this thing up, it doesn't have weird faces it doesn't know what to do with. There we go. So it will go out pretty far until you've reached a certain point, and then it just goes over. So we'll go about like that. It seems close to right. Maybe not quite. You can always grab it and move it down. So it's pretty close. Actually, I think that's just about perfect. If you look at the width of the base of the pyramid to the size of the hole, that looks right. It's just a little short. So same thing. Grab all these graphics are my. Grab all the vertices on the top. You can hit G and then Z to move on only the Z axis. Bring it up as far as you think you need. Scale it out. And just play with the sizes until you got it something close to what you think is right. That looks pretty good to me, except it's got a little cone head going on. Just bring that one down. And go ahead and repeat that process to everything else, basically. I mean, if you need to move something, just grab the single vert there and then scoot it out to where it makes sense. If you need more things to connect so that you don't have crazy faces, you know how to do that. So yeah, just go through and do this basic shape to all of these. If you get something crazily out of line, like this one, thankfully this one is on the x-axis here. Just highlight all of those, or you can do it in face mode, however you prefer. Hit G and then X, and you can scoot it along that particular axis. That's not going to work for this one because it's not on an axis, so that's annoying. But you can just kind of scoot it around; it'll be fine. So go ahead and repeat the shape there on all of these.